responding to Avalon Bay's invitation to bid in Unifier via the Bid Response record. In this session, we'll cover the overview of the process, logging in basic navigation, responding to the bid invitation, submitting a Bid RFI, and then additional resources available to help you through the process. Let's start with the overview. The Avalon Bay project team will enter a bid package in the system, including scopes and supporting documentation. Once you've been added as a potential bidder, you'll receive an email notification. Within that email, there'll be a link, and once you click on the link, you can enter your credentials to go straight into the open task to provide your bid proposal. Within this open task, you can provide bidding documents, pricing details, and then you'll update the record to send it back to Avalon Bay. Avalon Bay may send this record back to you for clarification should the project team have any questions. As I mentioned, once the bid invitation is sent to you for a request for proposal, a task will be created in the system for you to review the record and include the documents. And that brings us to logging in basic navigation. There are two ways to go into Unifier. The easiest is by utilizing that link found in the bid invitation email that was sent to you. Let's take a look at an example. Once we open this email, we're able to see which project we're being asked to bid on and what specifically the bid package is for. You'll also notice task due date here and again here. In this section, you'll find the description of the project and a little bit of extra information. As we scroll down, you'll find the project contact and then even a little more information. If you have any questions specific to the project, you'll want to contact the person listed here. If, however, you require assistance with utilizing this system, then feel free to contact our helpline at 866-864-3470. And right here is that link that we mentioned where you can click, enter your credentials, and log in. Another way to respond is by entering this URL in your favorite browser. After you've entered the URL in your browser, enter your credentials and click Sign In. You'll be taken to the home page of the system, and here on the left-hand side, if you click Tasks, you'll find the Bid Response task here. In this record, you'll find the bid package information as well as supporting documents. This is also the record in which you'll respond and send your numbers and documentation back to Avalon Bay. To open the record, simply click right on the bid response number. Now let's take a look at how to provide your bid information. We'll also cover submitting an RFI in this section. Again, here we are in our record, and I'll expand it. And the first thing that you'll want to do is accept the task. You can do that by coming to the top left-hand side and clicking on Accept Task. Now you'll notice that there are three sections to this record. We're going to start with the upper form here at the top, and to expand the upper form, we'll just click on the tab name here. Any field that's gray, you're not responsible to complete, and any field that has a red asterisk is mandatory. Next, we see the final scope acknowledgement section. There's some additional guidance for us. First, we ask that you let us know if you plan to bid on the project. And if you will be bidding, which we hope you will, then you also have the ability to decide if you want to submit your bid information now or later. If you're ready to submit it now, then you would say that you're ready to submit your bid proposal to PM here. If you're not ready yet, you can say no. And if you're not ready, of course you would not have an attachment at this time. You'll be able to update these answers later. Now, if this record needs to be sent to a colleague that's also set up in the system, then after answering these few questions, you can send it to them by selecting the workflow Send to Colleague. We'll do that here on the upper right-hand side. Next, we're going to come down to our action details. We'll expand this section, and to designate who we're sending this to, we'll click on the To button. Keep in mind that it must be somebody already set up within the system. Highlight the proper person's name click Add, and then OK. When you're ready, click Send. Again, the other option is just to send this back to yourself. If you say Submit here, when you click Send, then the PM will be notified that you do plan to bid on the project, but the record will come back to you. You'll receive another email notification so that you can go in and accept the task to complete the record. And that's what we'll do in our example. So we'll go ahead and click on Send to let the PM know that we do plan to bid, but to create another task for us to come back and complete later. And here's our email reminding us to go back in and complete the bid response. As a reminder, within the email, you'll find the link to be able to click Log In and take action. As we mentioned, again, you'll need to accept the task. And now we'll continue to review the form. We've already covered the final scope acknowledgement, and here you find the bid documents. If there is a bid documents link or a final bid scope link available for you, simply click on that link to find the documents. In here you'll find things like the consultant reports, plan check submittal set, and specifications manual. To open any of these, just simply double-click, and then click directly on the document. Let's continue reviewing the form. Next is the Vendor Prequalification Exceptions section. These questions help us identify which vendors, should they be awarded the contract, will be required to participate in a pre-qualification process. As you can see from the questions, this participation is dependent on services, on-site installation, and or if the contract will be over a specific threshold. Note that we're only utilizing the pre-qualification process in Unifier for our new construction projects today. This does not apply to redevelopment projects. If you are on a redevelopment project, you may elect to not answer these questions at this time. First, indicate whether or not you've completed a pre-qualification record in the last 12 months. Next, if you're performing any of the services listed here. And then finally, confirm if your bid amount is going to be greater than $500,000 and or if you will be performing on-site installation. The vendor prequal record numbers for future use and will remain blank at this time. Here we can see the record information, and these fields are auto-populated. We'll scroll down a little more, and that brings us to the bid package information. Here we find the title, trade, project contact, and bid due date. Let's move on down to the description section. There are some additional instructions for you in regards to adding attachments. To add your proposal, at the top of the screen, you'll select Add Attachment, My Computer, and then Browse. Next, you can find your document or documents, and you have a few options. One is to simply double-click, or you can click and drag. Once you do this, click Upload. We can see one file has been loaded successfully, and it's found down here under the attachments. There's a little more information for us here within the description. This is where you can find information on the project itself and any additional informational links. For example, in this case, we've been provided with a Sharefile link. You can highlight the link, copy it, and then drop it into your browser. This will bring up the document. You might also find some how-to video links within this bid response. And then we've reiterated our helpline phone number in case you have any questions on utilizing the system. That's it for the upper form. Now we're ready to go down here to our lower form. We're going to click on Bid Scope. Here is where you can review the scope descriptions for the bid package. When you're ready, you can click into each of these line items to add your final pricing. Just highlight, double-click, and then enter your information. We'll say that we are including this in our scope. We'll leave the description and the unit of measure as is, and then add our unit costs. When you're done, click OK. You can do this for each line item. You also have the option, and this is especially helpful if there's several line items, to use the grid functionality. So we'll click this grid button, and it brings up something that looks similar to an Excel spreadsheet, though it doesn't behave like one. Any of the columns with the red asterisks are mandatory. We'll go ahead and say that we are planning to include each of these in our initial scope. And you just double-click in, and then choose your selection. And then we'll double-click in to add our item unit cost. When you're done, click Save. Next, close Window. And this takes us back to the bid response record. If you made a mistake or you need to make adjustments, you can either reopen the grid or you can just double-click into any of these line items. Make your adjustment and click OK. Should you have any alternates to add, or if the project team has added alternates to consider, click on the Alternates header to include the information. If an alternate already exists, then you can just double-click into that line item as we did with the bid scopes and add your information. Then click OK. If you'd like to add your own, click Add. Notice here we're asked to include a cost code. Click into the field and start typing, and the various cost codes available will come up, and then select the one that's closest to what you're looking for. Next we'll say we can include this in our scope, give it a description, scroll down, give it your unit of measure, unit cost, and then your total amount. Click OK. You'll also notice a Bid RFI tab. Let's take a look. Here within the record, if you have an RFI to add, you can come down and click on New. You'll see the bid response record is auto-populated, and you're able to add a subject. You can give it a final review date, and then if there was a previous RFI, which is doubtful at this stage, you could pull it in here. We'll scroll down, and you're able to provide a drawing number, or your spec section or other references. Next, you're able to ask your question. Now we're ready to select our workflow action on the top right-hand side to AVB. This will go to the Avalon Bay project team to review and respond. When you're ready, click Send. And we can see that it's been submitted successfully. If you go this route, you may want to save your work to this point until you hear back regarding the Bid RFI. If that's the case, then you're able to save this record to go back to it later. To save the record to draft, you'll just click on Save. And it'll tell you a draft has been saved. Now let's see if we have our response from the Bid RFI. Here's our email notification that the Bid RFI has been reviewed. We'll double-click, scroll down to the Unifier login, enter our credentials, and we can find our response. We'll double-click in, and scroll down. There's our question, and right below is the response. Now that we have our answer, we can close this window and go back into our bid response to continue our work. Again, there are a few ways to get there. One is directly through the email link, or we can come back to our Home tab, go back to Tasks, and click back into our record by clicking on the number. If there's anything that we need to adjust now that we have the answer for the Bid RFI, we can go ahead and make those adjustments. Let's make sure we have everything complete so we can send this response forward. Again, we'll expand the upper form. We've already let Avalon Bay know that we want to bid. You can add any additional comments here if you have them. Now we're ready to submit our bid proposal, so we'll change this to yes. And we've added our attachment in the lower left-hand side with our proposal. So again, we'll say yes. You might want to double-check your vendor pre-qualification exceptions answers, and then we're ready to send the record forward. To do this, we'll come to the top right-hand screen under Workflow Actions and select Submit. Next, we'll go to the top left and click Send. Now let's talk about some of the resources you have available. Written directions can be accessed by clicking on Help. Within any record, you can come up to Help, and then the process name, in this case Bid Response, Help. When you do this, a PDF will present itself. Simply open the PDF and go to the Bookmark section. You'll notice that this document is 41 pages long. Within the Bookmark section, though, you're able to click for the exact section you need guidance for. In our example, it would be Bid Response Class 3 Response. And that takes you directly to page 24. In addition, we have a helpline available for you 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Eastern Time, Monday through Friday. If you call, you'll speak with an Avalon Bay associate who's able to help you utilize Unifier to enter your bidding information. Thank you for your time in reviewing this video on how to submit your bid response. We look forward to receiving your bid proposal.